So here is the review. Question number 1, I talked about in class, is actually 3 separate questions. It's asking you to take the point -2, 5, and the first question says reflect it over y equals x. The second question says rotate it about the origin 90. And the third question is a two-stepper. So it's 3 completely separate questions. Remember that when you have a y equals x reflection, all you do is take the point, which in this case is -2, 5, and you switch the coordinates to 5, -2. You just swap them. It's the same thing as drawing the diagonal line and counting diagonally, but it's just as easy to just take the 2 points and literally swap them. Okay, the second question, -2, 5, rotate 90. Just find a piece of graph paper. If you went to -2, 5, move this out of the way for a minute. -2, 5, and you rotate it about the origin 90, which is to the left, you then have -5, -2. You just use your patty paper for that one. Now on the third one, there's 2 steps, and there's still a little bit of confusion over which one to do first. When you have the little circle telling you that it's a 2-step problem, you work backwards. You do this one first and that one second. So I'm going to take the point -2, 5 and first reflect it over the y-axis. So -2, 5. I'm going to reflect it over the y-axis, and that becomes 2, 5. And once I'm over here, I then want to rotate -90. That was the second step. -90 about the origin. -90 is a right-hand turn for the steering wheel. So -90, and that puts me at 5, -2. Okay, question 2. It says state the sequence of transformations that move triangle ABC to A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So what were the 2 steps, the sequence of steps that went from A, B, C to A prime, B prime, C prime, and then ultimately to A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So I kind of have it labeled the first, the second, and the third. So the first thing that happens is this, which is pretty clearly a reflection over the x-axis. So the first thing was a reflection over the x-axis, and then once we're at this orange number 2, it looks like it's just going to be a translation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, which is -5, 0. And there's your 2 steps. A reflection over the x-axis followed by a translation of -5, 0. Number 3, I've already plotted ABC. Make sure you plot correctly. -1, 3, -3, -2, 0, -3. Now again, here's a 2-stepper. Part B says I'm doing 2 steps. This is always first, and that is always second. So I'm going to reflect over the y-axis first. So I go over 1 more for A. C is on the x-axis, and B is over 3. So I go over 3 more. So now I've reflected over the y-axis. That's step 1. Step 2 says now rotate it 180 degrees. So now I'm going to attempt to rotate this 180 degrees around the origin. Patty paper will be a lot easier than the way I'm doing it. And it ends up right there, if you do it correctly. And that's A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. It said state the coordinates. So you have to say A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. That's what state the coordinates means. and A double prime is -1, -3. B double prime is -3, 2. And C double prime is 0, 3. The last question says, what single transformation, because we did two steps, what could you have done to accomplish this in one step? And if you stare at this for a minute, you can see the original and the final answer is really just a reflection over the x-axis. So the final question for letter C is, we could have just reflected it over the x-axis, and that would have taken the place of those two steps. Why is this a rigid motion? Because reflections and rotations keep distance and angle measure. Number 4 says, which transformation would not map the rectangle onto itself? So choice 1 says a reflection over the x-axis. If you reflect this over the x-axis, you're going to end up with the exact same thing. Half is on the top, half is on the bottom. It's going to end up right on itself. So that would map it onto itself. We're looking for one that wouldn't. Choice 2 says a reflection in the line x equals 4. Well, x equals 4 is this line. That's the same thing going vertically now. If you flip it left to right, it's going to end up on itself again. Question 3 says choice 3 says a rotation of 180 about the origin. If I rotate this about the origin, it doesn't end up on itself. It ends up over there on the left. That's the one that doesn't map it onto itself. Question 5. I have it plotted already, 3, 4, 7, 6, and 7, 4. A says, translate it -8, 0. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0. So that's to the left 0. I saw some people in class going up and down. Make sure that if it's the x-coordinate that's moving, you're going left and right. And that is actually now A prime, B prime, C prime. Step 2 says, rotate it, the newest one, 90 degrees. Rotate about the origin 90 degrees. So you're going to put your patty paper here, and you're going to rotate 90 degrees, which is this way. Finally, it says graph the triple primes, because now these are the double primes, after reflecting it in the line y equals 2. Y equals 2 is a line that cuts through the y-axis at 2. So that means we take B and go up 3 more. Same thing with C. And then A is going to go up 7, so it goes up 7 more. And this is A triple prime, B triple prime, C triple prime. Just for a minute, make sure you have your compass and your straight edge now. And I'm going to keep rolling here. We translated along this vector that we added to the picture in class today. So the vector wasn't originally on your picture, but we added this to it. So how do you translate? You take your compass and you put it right here, the metal point there, and you measure how far that is to the end of the arrow tip, the tip of the vector. Keep that same distance. Now move over to K, and you're going to make that same distance. Your compass is now here, and you're going to make an arc out here. And then do the same thing for J. You're going to put the compass on J and make an arc out here somewhere. So you know they're going to be somewhere on those arcs. Then you go back and measure from L to K. And you take that and you go to your new L And wherever it hits this one is your point. Now you have 2 points already. And then you go from L to J. And however long that was, you go to L and go up to J. And it's going to hit here. They intersect right there. So your final answer is right here. That's L prime, J prime, K prime.